Now that is Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning. Is it good morning? It's raining a little.
It's been raining for like 2 months here. I don't know what happened.
I thought it never rained in Southern California.
That's what they told me. Here we go.
They lied to us.
Yeah, they lied.
Let's jump right in, guys. A ton to get to today. NBA, NFL action, looking at playoffs. All right, yesterday, the Cowboys released wide receiver James Washington. He played in just 2 games this season after breaking his foot at the beginning of training camp. The release has been linked to the Cowboys' recent signing of T.Y. Hilton, plus the success of CeeDee Lamb this season. Shannon, what do you think? Are the Cowboys receivers good enough to carry them on a deep playoff run?
Me personally, Skip, I think the release of Amari Cooper is looking worse and worse. When you when you look at what he's doing in Cleveland, he has the 5th most touchdowns, receiving touchdowns for a wide receiver. He had, on the 20th most catches, but he has 14.6 yards per catch, which is better than CeeDee. He has more touchdowns than CeeDee, a high yards per catch than CeeDee, but he's 26 receptions behind CeeDee.
Yep.
Michael Gallup has 4 touchdowns, Noah Brown. So if you look at the stats between Noah Brown and Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper is blowing those guys away by himself. So the question is, let's just say for the sake of argument, you run into a Green Bay or you run into the 49ers, and their game plan is to take CeeDee away like they took Justin Jefferson away. Then what do you do? Because you're right. Clearly, they felt that the progression that they had saw with James Washington in practice, maybe with the combination, as Jen mentioned, with the emergence of T.Y. Hilton, they had seen enough from T.Y. to say, you know what, we can go forward without James Washington. Maybe what they saw in practice or what they saw in the game wasn't enough for them to keep, even though, Skip, he's on a bargain basement price. It's not like they gave him $10, $15 million. He's on a minimum contract. Minimum contract for a guy, James Washington, might be $800,000 to $1 million. So for me, we're going to find out if Jerry Jones' decision in the offseason to basically trade CeeDee Lamb for peanuts will pay off. And that's what this is going to come down to, Skip.
It was peanuts, too. They just said, we want to get rid of you at any price. We'll just give you away.
Right, because you saw what Claypool went for. You saw what some of these other and I'm not saying Amari was Tyreek, but you saw what he went for. But you saw some of the other tier receivers, Skip, go for 2nd and 3rd round picks, and they basically gave Amari away for a 5th round pick.
That is a fact.
So for me, Skip.
But by the way, Amari made $20 million, so that's what they got rid of.
They got rid of it,
okay.
But you also got rid of that production.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns on 14.6 yards per catch. That's pretty good production, considering that he's throwing, Jacoby Brissett was throwing to him, and Deshaun hasn't got his rhythm quite back yet, although they did hook up a couple of times on Sunday. So for me, Skip, we're going to see if CeeDee, because this is CeeDee or bust, is good enough to carry you to a deep playoff run. We'll see if Jerry Jones' decision to trade Amari Cooper for a little of nothing will pay off for him come playoff time, because that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
All that matters. We are about to see. You can accuse me, if you so choose, of putting on my metallic blue-colored glasses today and seeing the world.
You got the colors on.
But you know
I don't know if anybody can see us.
I must tell you, I was just looking across the table at yours, and I think I would prefer yours over mine today. For once, I think you out-blued me.
And you got on gray slacks. I have on gray slacks.
This was not planned.
It was not planned.
Okay. Back to my team.
Okay.
Back to my dilemma. Back to, let's start with James Washington.
Okay.
I loved James Washington when he was at Oklahoma State University, a rival of the school that I grew up loving, University of Oklahoma. So I watched a lot of James Washington, and I really came to admire and like his weird deep speed, because he had that kind of weird speed that didn't time that great, but he just ran past everybody in college football. He won the Bolitnikoff Award as the best receiver in college football.
He did that.
Just because he did not run 4.2, he dropped to the 2nd round, but still a fairly high pick
2nd round pick of the Steelers.
By a team that has been notoriously great at seeing and nabbing receivers, right?
Nobody picks positions
Nobody.
like the Steelers pick receivers.
They just don't. It's just been one after. Now they tend to flame out or go haywire on them or whatever. AB at the top of the list. But you know and I know they have just swung and hit, swung and hit, swung and hit.
Deontay Johnson and Pickens look like.
Oh, Pickens looks like he's another one of those.
Yes.
He's another top 10-ish type receiver. And James Washington got hurt in camp. It was some kind of Jones fracture or Lisfranc or I don't know.
But you did like the signing at the time.
I loved it because they stole him. And why he didn't work out with Roethlisberger, I don't know. But they did not get ever quite on the same page.
Right.
Maybe he just wasn't quite good enough. I don't know. But I loved the pickup for him to be the third receiver because I was more bullish at that point on CeeDee Lamb, who plays more like a lion than a lamb.
Yep.
Than you were at that point.
Yes.
So I said, I'm happy for him to emerge, to have the decks cleared, where now you take over and it's your team and your time.
Okay.
And I basically believe he's done that. I'll get to that in a moment.
Right.
But I needed James Washington to be my 3 because I needed Michael Gallup to bounce back from his ACL and be a strong number 2. And that didn't really happen because he's been fairly quiet all year, even though lately I'll see a catch here or there where I say, oh, there he is. There's Michael Gallup of the last couple of years. Okay, so then out of the heavens, out of nowhere, just when I'm Odell or bust, I'm all about Jerry. And Jerry went crazy for Odell.
Right.
Jerry fell in love with Odell Beckham Jr. and the concept of having Odell potentially get ready for a playoff run. Maybe if they could get to an NFC championship, maybe he'd beat it. Maybe he'd even make it back for the first game. When I kept hearing, no, he's not even close. So Jerry went overboard, as he's prone to do, and it went nowhere because Odell's saying, I just can't commit this year. I'll go ahead and take your $1 million to rehab in Dallas, but I can't promise. And Jerry said, I need some kind of guarantee that I might have you down this trail.
Right.
No. And so they fell apart, and it's starting to feel like, even though Jerry says I haven't given up on this, it's starting to feel like Odell's never going to be a Dallas Cowboy, but I could be wrong.
Well, he's giving up on it this year. He might revisit it in the offseason, but it's over for right now.
All right. And then I should also add this. Along this year's trail, they had signed Kevontae Turpin, who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, was the MVP of the USFL, right?
Yeah.
Right here on Fox.
Right.
Well, he was the MVP for 2 reasons. But the first reason he was the MVP was because he was a dominating pass catcher.
Right.
The second reason was he was a dominating returner. So
made the Pro Bowl as a returner.
Okay. So he did, but they signed him as both, I thought, because if you're listen, you can't be the MVP of a league full of quarterbacks who are all pretty to very good without being an uncoverable receiver, right? It's hard to be a non-quarterback and win MVP.
Most returners have fast twitch, and they're very good receivers. You look at the returners, you look at the Edelmans, you look at the Welkers, you look at the guys that return the ball.
All right.
They were good.
So help me out. I keep waiting and waiting for Kevontae to catch on, so to speak, as a receiver. He's gotten 2 targets all year. He caught 1 for 9 yards, period, end of story.
Right.
Well, I don't know what happened. I thought, well, will they work him into the offense as a, sort of...
Maybe a gadget guy.
Some kind of gadget-y. So he's had 3 carries, all sort of revert, speed. Jet speeds. Yeah. Okay, 3 for 17. Okay, with a long of 11. I can't even remember what they were because they came and went.
Right.
Okay? So he has been next to no factor on offense. All right, now back to the question. Out of the sky, when I least expected it, fell a 33-year-old receiver off his couch, a receiver nobody wanted for the whole football season until 2 weeks were left, 3 weeks were left.
Right.
And nobody wanted him all last offseason. Nobody bit on T.Y. Hilton, who obviously made, 4 Pro Bowls?
Made 4 Pro Bowls, yeah. I think he had 5 1,000-yard receiving seasons in Indy.
And he was a big-time receiver.
Yeah, he was legit. 1,300 yards, 1,200-yard receiving seasons.
I got to tell you, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm just desperately clinging to one little shred of hope here. He has been a godsend.
Was it the 3rd and 30?
Well, it's been. I'm going to show them to you because I just had our great staff pull them out.
Okay.
Because he is a technician of a route runner. He is the highest IQ at receiver, and he has convinced the coaching staff and, more importantly, my quarterback that he can be trusted under fire in the biggest moments because he will be right exactly where Dak expects him to be. And he will catch the football with clutchness hanging in the balance. When it's time to make a huge catch, he makes huge catches.